Welcome back to DHD Racing Podcast. I'm Daniela, and today I'm here with Doreen and Holly, and we're going to talk about the Canadian Grand Prix, but also the downfall of W Series. So, yesterday was the Canadian Grand Prix. Doreen and Holly, did either of you get to watch it?
I didn't. I'm
Neither
still
did I.
out. Out and about.
I was very sad about.
Yeah.
First one I missed in a while. Yeah. I feel like I should also mention that like two of our groups today are sort of ill/recovering from illnesses, which is why I sound like this.
Get well soon, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I didn't watch it either, which I'm really very sad about because it
I was
sounded like
I was looking at the updates on my phone, on the Instagram account, but that's as much as I got.
Yeah. So I did watch it, but I wasn't feeling 100%. So my attention wasn't fully into it as like it usually is, and I usually have got my notebook out and I've got all my statistics up. Instead, I just laid in bed and watched it. But yeah, it was actually obviously we all knew Red Bull were going to win, but
Yeah.
there were aspects of this that actually were quite interesting. So I want to ask you guys. I don't know if you guys know who what the podium finishers were, but do you have any idea of what they could be? Do you want to make some guesses?
Maybe I'm remembering wrong,
I
but
have a
didn't
vague idea.
Hulkenberg get on the podium?
No.
Or was it during he did something outstanding.
In qualifying, he did initially finish second.
Yeah.
But
No
he
way.
then got dropped
Hulkenberg.
back. Yeah, he had to, this was in qualifying.
Yeah.
And then but he did get a penalty and then he started sixth, I think.
There were a lot of penalties as well that I was seeing.
I have a lot of thoughts about the penalties, but we'll go back to the podium. So
I do
I
know
don't know
that
who was on the podium though.
Lewis got podium, right?
He did get podium, yeah.
Yeah.
So the podium was Max, Fernando, and then Lewis. I think we all kind of knew that Red Bull was going to go off and win that one.
Yeah.
But there was quite a few battles between Lewis and Fernando, overtaking each other a lot. For that second place, that was a bit of good fun.
Is it a race that you would say is worth us rewatching? Or is it
maybe not
Miami level? Chill.
Stuff happened, but I don't know if I would say go out of your way to watch it. Yeah, it's I only rewatch races that either I've absolutely loved or I know that it's quite an eventful race and then I watch it. But I would say probably not with this one. Then this was the 100th win for Red Bull since their time in Formula One, which is it is a good thing though. But yeah, it's a milestone for them, and I think it was nice because they had ex Red Bull driver and ex Red Bull race winner Daniel Ricciardo around. I think he was around at the Canadian Grand Prix. I'm pretty sure I saw some bits here and there. That was apparently George Russell made a comment about a very good Australian in the pit lane. So yeah,
I saw that.
So it was nice to kind of have Daniel there. Talking of Daniel, he did also do that race watch along, which I could not work out how to watch it and how to get it to work, so I didn't get to see it. But I did read on Twitter a lot of mixed reviews that it wasn't the best. Why would they watch that over Crofty? And yeah, apparently some people in America were getting a bit frustrated because they were broadcasting this on ESPN. And I guess that's maybe usually where they watched the race. And so they didn't get to have their usual commentators. Instead, they had Daniel and Will. I think his name as well.
Oh wait, they broadcast that on TV. I was an old-timer thing.
I think so in America. In the UK, you could get it on Sky Go. No, not Sky Go. Sky Sports app, Sky Q and class and like everything the Sky has, you could get it on there. And I tried to get it on the Sky Sports app because I have that, but I just couldn't find it and I couldn't get it to work. So yeah, I found it quite interesting. I feel like it's a different take for Daniel with his career. I do think he kind of likes that side of things, like presenting and media and things. So I do think in some ways it was expected that he would go into that route. I just personally would really like him to be a presenter for Sky Sports, like if he isn't racing, like doing what Jenson Button does, because I feel like both Jenson and Daniel have the personalities for that, and I think it could work really, really well. But going back to the race, so we talked a bit about penalties and investigations. At the beginning of the race, there were so many pit lane investigations. There was like, I'm trying to think now. Like there was one for Lando, for Lewis and Fernando. There was like maybe Hockenwood. There was like loads, and I just was like, is it really that necessary? Like the day before, there'd been quite a few penalties given out because of like people impeding, and I wanted to mention this because I know that Holly, I think me and you actually spoke about this before, about like when drivers get like impede multiple drivers, and then like Pierre back in the last race, where was that? What country were we in last? I can't remember.
Spain?
Yes, it was. It
Was
was.
it Spain?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Yes, it was Spain. When
Yeah,
they
we
were
were.
in Spain, yeah, like Pierre got, I think it was like a 6 grid place penalty for impeding 2 drivers. This weekend, Carlos impeded, I think it was 3 drivers, but didn't get the
Yeah,
same amount.
he only got
So
3 places, I
yeah.
think.
So I'm like, when other drivers impeded 1 driver and got 3 place, and obviously I was really annoyed about the Pierre thing before, and I've been open about that and how I said I don't feel like that's right.
Mm.
And I still agree with that, but why give it to Pierre and then not give it to Carlos? Like, I know all of us here, we are Carlos fans, and I'm coming at this from a Carlos fan, but
I'm a Carlos fan. I watched that video. Like, you can't deny it. And he was a little bit annoyed. And he was like, "Oh, some people get he said some people get penalized, some people don't, you know. But I think he should have gotten a worse penalty for what he did."
like if
Or
they're gonna do
Pierre
it to
should have gotten
Pierre,
last.
yeah. I'm just
Like
sick of
one of
the
the two.
inconsistencies that the FIA are giving out. Like, come on, if you're going to do it for one driver, do it for another. It's like it's not fair, and it just becomes infuriating to watch because you're like, what's the point? Like, yes, we kind of like sometimes you do want penalties and things to mix things up a bit, but like, why do it for one and not for another? I just really don't get it. Like, I know they have different stewards like each race, but even still, like, there should be like set rules and stick with those rules. Stop changing it around all the
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to have another Abu Dhabi 2021 on our hands. But anyway, moving on from that, because for like everyone's gonna hate me listening to this, bringing back up Abu Dhabi 2021. But
I'll
yes,
never stop looking at it.
they're talking about talking about other penalties. Lando Norris got a 5-second penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct because he was accused of backing up the grid so that McLaren could do a double pit stop, like both Lando and Oscar. And so yeah, Lando finished outside of the points because of this. I've heard a lot of different opinions on this, mostly them saying that Lando did nothing wrong. Because I didn't like, I was watching it and just out of nowhere on the top of the screen it said Lando being investigated for driving too slowly. And I was like, where was Lando driving too slowly? Like, I was so confused. I was like, didn't see him driving slowly. But yeah, apparently so, and apparently happened under the safety car. But yeah, so I found that quite interesting. And then getting closer to the end of the race, Alex Albon, what a driver! He finished 7th in that Williams, which I'm so happy about. Yeah, he finished 7th, but at the end of the race, there was like it was like him trying to defend from, I think it was Lando, Valtteri, Lance, and there was one more, Esteban, and he was like trying to defend from all of them, like as they're like crossing over the line, like it was so good, and I was just so proud of Alex.
He
So
did so well.
he was
Driver
my
of
driver of
that.
the day. Yeah, he was driver of the day. He was my driver of the day. I voted for him. And I love it when Alex does stuff like this. Like Australia 2022, he managed like to pull out the bag. Same like yesterday. I love it when he does this. It's so good. I love it so much. We did unfortunately have two DNFs. We had Logan and George. Logan's kind of went off track and kind of stopped. I don't really know quite what happened. And then George had some damage quite early on, but Mercedes changed their strategy. They got George straight back out there, but he did then he was falling down the field, he was in last, and then he managed to go up a little bit, but then he had to unfortunately DNF due to damage. Yeah. Ferrari actually had an okay weekend. Now, I messaged you guys saying before the race started that I was watching the pre-race show. There we go. And Brundle was doing the walk, and the cars were already out, and he was looking over at Ferrari, saying it looks like they're trying to fix something on Charles's car, and they were saying that he they wouldn't let him have a look at what was going on. So he was wondering if it was a big problem, and I messaged you guys saying oh no, this is what Brundle's saying, and I was a bit worried for Charles, but they finished 4th and 5th.
That's not a disaster.
Yeah, we've had a lot of worse race weekends for Ferrari, so I'm taking that. Would I've liked to have seen them on the podium? Yes, but 4th and 5th, I'm taking that.
Yeah,
it's that thing where it's like it's not. You know that they're not going to be happy with it, but it's not 7th and 6th. So
yeah, and it's not a DNF.
I wanted to ask actually, didn't something happen with Charles in the race at some point? And because I'm sure I saw this on what I did see on social media, I saw something about Charles. Although it might have been after qualifying actually. But I saw people saying something about Charles getting angry at Ferrari and saying that and saying that he disagreed with them for the first time, and everyone was like, oh my god, this is a big difference who does that. And then he went back on it later.
I think what happened was they wanted to pit him before he went out for a lap because the weather was really horrible in qualifying. It kind of was horrible most of the weekend apart from the race. And they kept having to go in and out and changing tyres and all of this. And I think he went in to go because it got to Q3 and Oscar went into he crashed and then they had to restart, and I think it was then that Charles was like oh no, it wasn't Q3. I can't remember when it was. But Charles wanted to pit and they said they were gonna pit him and he went and pitted and they didn't have the tyres ready for him, I think was what happened. I'm trying to remember, but my brain's not fully working and I can't really remember, but I think that's what happened. And yeah, he did shout out at something I can't remember his exact words, but it was you weren't even ready for me, and he got really frustrated with them, which is understandable because they have kind of screwed him over a couple of times within the last 2 years.
That is their one job during the race.
Yeah.
Right. Also, you were saying where did he finish? 5th or
4th? That's a good question. I just wrote down that Ferrari finished 4th and 5th.
Because if he got that high up from starting below 10, then imagine if he actually got in a good qualifying position, he'd have been able to fight for a podium. So
literally,
it's the whole it's another Ferrari should be happy because it was a better weekend, but also they could have done better.
They could have done better. Yeah.
He could have fought for the podium if he'd not been starting so low down, and that's that's a missed opportunity, and that's entirely their fault. That's not just because they were naturally outclassed. That's because they messed that up.
Yeah.
Which is kind of because I wanted to talk about that because I remember I saw it online, and the fact that he's so openly criticizing them as well is also a big deal, because normally Ferrari kind of puts up this real like wall of
Yeah,
everything's fine, and you can tell that it's not fine, but they never talk about it openly.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I just thought that was interesting.
he finished fourth.
Okay.
So, yeah, yeah, he could have maybe have had.
Definitely could have.
Um, yeah. I think that's kind of everything I had for the Canadian Grand Prix. But I wanted to talk a bit about W Series because
Yeah.
yeah, we kind of now know like this is at the moment is the end for W Series. We can't do that anyway. They've gone into administration, which was expected. But they're hoping that they can come out of this and restart W Series. I don't know if that will happen, especially now that we have F1 Academy.
Mm.
I'm wearing my W Series hat because I'm sad. I think everyone in the whole world knows how much I love W Series, which is again, it's a controversial thing. I know that people aren't a massive fan of W Series and F1 Academy, as people on TikTok have commented telling me. But um, yeah, so it is sad news, and I know that drivers have spoken out about it. Um, Alice Powell said something along the lines of like W Series wasn't a fail, which I don't think it was either, because we've had like I feel like W Series has like got got drivers back into racing. Alice Powell before W Series wasn't racing. I think she was working for her dad's company doing something like redecorating or like something in that kind of field, and it got her managed to like be in racing again. It really helped Jamie Talbot with her career, um,
Mm.
because before this she was kind of going through a little bit of like a stage where like things weren't going the way that she wanted them to, and then W Series came about and is like obviously now pushed her forward. She's a Williams development driver. She's now over at Indy Next. She actually was having like she did such an amazing qualifying. She qualified ninth, but unfortunately finished the race in P15. But I'm hoping now that maybe we'll start to see better race results from Jamie. I think going from um, like Europe to America is like a big change with the
Yeah.
driving style. Um,
I think
but
once she
yes, like
gets you, fine.
yeah, like we've seen progress, which is good.
Mm.
And obviously F1 Academy has started up, and some of the previous W Series drivers have moved over to there and are doing really well. So that's exciting to see. So I'm hoping that if F1 Academy actually start to listen to what everyone wants, and we get to see proper races, and we have people sat in the grandstands because currently there is no one going to these races. If they learn from W Series mistakes, this could be
Could work.
this could be incredible. At the moment, I feel like it's very much underdeveloped, and they kind of brought it out too quickly when they should. I think they knew W Series wasn't going to last, and was like, "Oh, we need to bring this out now," but it was not quite ready for it. So they need to fix those areas, and hopefully we can actually see some good racing going on, and not have to just watch the highlights because it's a bit frustrating. um, but yeah, so that's kind of everything that's going on with W Series and F1 Academy at the moment. We'll see if W Series does make a return. I'm not 100% sure that it will. I usually like to remain optimistic, but I just don't have that feeling about W Series right now. But yeah,
Yeah.
um, I think that was everything I had written down for today. Is there anything else they want to discuss?
No. I
No,
think
just that
oh,
I'm really sorry that you're losing W
I'm
Series, or that you might be losing W Series, because I know how much you loved it, and it's like it's a big hit, and it's
Yeah,
so annoying because they should have tried harder.
it wasn't them though. I've spoken
Well,
to Jimmy
not.
and Holly about this before, but
Mm,
David Coulthard is he I love David Coulthard. He has done a lot for W Series, and he came out and spoke about W Series recently, saying that all of these brands who support F1 say that they're all for diversity and inclusion, but when it came to W Series, they didn't want to help, and they didn't get the funding that they needed. They had deals with other people as well who were then giving in the money that they were supposed to, and eventually they lost all funding, and that's
So
why
what
there is no. Yeah.
it wasn't like I don't know if the FIA are the people who run, but whoever is operating W Series, it wasn't them, it was
No.
the funding problems. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So like it's more like these brands who say they want to help, and then when it actually comes to it, they're all talk and no do. So it is really frustrating because people are always constantly like, oh yeah, we want to support women, and then when it actually comes to supporting them, and they go, yeah, but like, what if the talent's not? What if they're actually not even that talented? Like, they're women, so they're probably not even going to be that talented. So why should we support them? Oh, they don't even have that big of a following. Why should we support them? So yeah, unfortunately, this is the world that we live in, and it's really infuriating. And there's a lot of controversy around female racing drivers, but I think I won't go into that today. But yeah, that's kind of a sum up of it already. What did you say, sorry, Jimmy?
I said that is a big topic, and we will cover that at some point.
Yeah.
Do like a full
definitely.
deep dive, maybe like summer break level.
Yeah.
Like
Yes. Yeah. That sounds like a good plan. Right. I think that's everything we wanted to talk about today. So we will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Bye.